What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the St. Vitus basement, and we are here with Blackwater Holylight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's so awesome to have you here. Your newest record is Veils of Winter. You said it came out like last month around that time. Do you just want to talk about how the making of this record was and the recording and the reception and everything?
Yeah, it was, we recorded it this March, and we were in the studio for 3 weeks, and we did a lot of the writing in the studio.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. We spent, this is my other bandmate. We went in and we had 3 weeks, in the studio to record and put it out. Like, it was just like, get it done, do the thing.
Really? You mentioned you wrote a lot of the songs in the studio. Was there like a time restriction or like pressure to kind of like get it done?
We were, definitely like taking time. We wanted to finish it before we went on a Europe tour, so we left to Europe in March, April.
Okay.
We were gone April, May, so we wanted to finish it before we went on tour for that.
With the making of this record, did you want to like have like a formula that kind of like tied all the songs together, or did the making of every song call for a different approach?
It definitely, each song kind of had its own individual feeling to it. So, like, it kind of goes from, like, there's, like, a shoegaze influence into, like, a psych influence into a doom influence into, like, a more, like, alternative, like, rock influence. So it kind of all, each song is, like, its own adventure.
That's awesome.
In there, yeah.
Was that like a preconceived idea, or did it kind of just happen that way?
It just kind of happened that way, yeah. There's 5 of us in the band, and we all come from, like, different, genres of music to influence us into making this project, and it's all a combined effort in writing. So, yeah.
Is there ever something that has to come first with the making of each song? Like, do you have to lay down the rhythm first, or is there, like, a vocal melody that always dictates everything, or kind of like what I asked before, every song started and finished differently?
Yeah, it's mostly like Sunny comes up with like a bass line, and then we write around that. So it depends on who's coming in with the riff, and sometimes like Sarah does the keys, and we write around that. So, but for this record we all went in and did most of it live, like just doing a full take together in the same room.
Must have been very organic, right?
Yeah, it was very organic.
Being a lead guitarist, like, I don't know if, like, you mentioned playing leads. Do you follow, like, a certain scale? Like, is there a theoretical element before you lay down guitar soloing, or is that part improvised as well?
It's definitely improvised. Yeah, it's all, like, whatever, like, one of our songs, we had just, like, a bottom sounding, it was, like, just a progression of going up, half steps, and then to write something that would fit in that, like, switching in between major and minor, it was just what made sense at the time. And then just like when we recorded it, like doing a take and being like, this makes sense right now, let's keep it like that.
When it comes to getting inspired to write, do you have to put yourself in like a certain element or a certain setting in order for inspiration to come, or does inspiration sometimes just come out of nowhere?
I think it comes out of nowhere kind of thing, or more from like maybe an experience that we have. I know, like, some of the songs, we went on tour with a band called Weed, and after that tour, like, there was so much influence of, like, their sound around us, and so, like, that kind of came into some of the writing style, or, some of the feeling. But it's kind of like, we're from Portland, Oregon, so we spend a lot of time in nature, and that's, like, a huge influence for our music.
I've noticed, because I brought it up before we started rolling, but like, from interviewing Yob and Lord Dying and Toxic Holocaust and so many other bands from Portland, I'd imagine there's a great scene that you're associated with, right?
Yeah. There's a really awesome community in Portland, and everyone supports each other in the making of art out there.
Yeah. Witch Mountain and Agalock, I still wish Agalock would come back.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to playing live, is there a different energy that you channel into your live presence or live performance versus when you're in like songwriting mode or when you're recording?
Definitely. I feel like when we're performing live, it's all about like where we're at, like because a lot of the music is stemming from an emotional, what's inside we're pushing outward. So we're all five of us, what we're feeling pushing outward. So when it's like we're songwriting, there's that motion there that makes the structure of a song, but live it transforms into like the room and like what the experience of the place is. And so that definitely switches up. Each song is going to be different each night.
Being that you mentioned that you capture like an emotion and a moment within your music, do you try to maybe get the audience or the listener to sort of feel a similar thing you're feeling, or can the music be open to interpretation?
It's funny, we were talking about this with our live shows. We have what we do when we perform, we mostly play for each other in the band, and we're learning about exploring outward to others, and like exploring their emotions and their feelings while experiencing our music. But for now, it's kind of like they're just witnessing us experiencing something together, and like we're working on that connection with them. But it's kind of like this sacred thing, because it's like 5 women performing together on stage, and like our little coven circle, and then, but we're working on branching out and seeing what that's going to feel like, staring into the eyes of, a room filled with people, and it's different,
Of course, and I'd imagine that kind of intimacy or that sort of experience that you're playing together on stage, that has to be very similar to, is it the songwriting process just as much, or is the way that you interact with each other, is there any difference at all?
It's pretty much, on stage, off stage, it's all the same. It's all, when we're writing, it just different location, same situation.
Yeah. And I have 2 more questions for you, but being that, like you mentioned, you're influenced by nature and you have like an external source of inspiration around you, when it comes to who you portray within your music on the album or what you're playing on stage, is the music an extension of who you are, or is it an element completely outside of yourself that you try to get involved in?
I feel like maybe a mixture of both, because playing this music, for me personally, lets me become something outside of myself, something outside of maybe an everyday experience, because performing on stage, you get to, light up these different parts of you. And so that with also whatever internally I'm experiencing, a balance of 2. So you get to be somebody bigger than you, and you also get to lift and use all the things that you can't really use in everyday life.
So it's like a bridge between like the metaphorical and the metaphysical with the physical world around us.
Yeah, totally.
And the final question I want to ask you is, I always save the hardest question for last, and this is why it's my favorite question to ask everybody. How do you know when a song is done?
Like in the writing process? Yeah. Okay. I think I have this idea for, like, when people make records and albums and stuff, it's a photograph, it's a timepiece. So, like, you could keep on creating a song and changing it and moving it and, making it into something different forever. You could keep doing that. But, it's like, if you're like, okay, this is it. This is enough stuff. It's recorded. It's a photograph. You can't really, you can edit the photograph, but like if it's just a film, there it is. It's an experience of time. Yeah. So, and then when we take these songs to the stage, they continue to change. So it's not really like they ever are finished.
You don't try to execute the material exactly how people are hearing it on the album live.
No, absolutely not. because when it comes out on the album, it was what we were feeling then. Because it's all so much about the feeling of something, the feeling of sound, and creating it. So it's a structure. It's an outline of what the experience is going to be.
Yeah. feel like the most organic experience that the musician could have with the song was the moment they first like came up with it. It's like lightning in a, every song I feel like was lightning in a bottle at one point.
Yeah. For me though, like there was that moment, but then again there's the moment I play it tonight, and there's the moment I've played it 2 weeks ago. It's the same song, but like it can't be the same experience every time. Every day has to be like this new experience. So it's like I don't know, it can never be what it was the first time you heard it or the first time you wrote it. It's going to be different every single time.
That's good. Keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
That'll convince people to go out and watch like every single show you play.
Oh yeah, every single show we play is completely different.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else you would like to promote? You said that after this tour you have a couple shows with Yob. Is there anything else with Blackwater Holylight you would like to promote?
Well, we're just doing this tour with Monolord, and we have 2 more weeks, and then we have the 2 shows with Yob. Three shows with Yob, in Seattle and Eugene and Portland, and then we're going back into writing mode. So we did a record. We released a record this year, released a record last year. So we'll probably have out another one next year.
Awesome. Good. Awesome. Keeping the grind going.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Everybody, we are here with Blackwater Holylight, Veils of Winter. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.